Hey guys, it's Linz. Welcome to Lean's Soapbox. For today's video, we're jumping into our next Silver Surfer comic. For those of you who are new here, I'm doing a series here on my channel where I try to read every single Silver Surfer comic in honor of the Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer coming to the big screen in July. As for the comics that I'm choosing to include in this series, I'm mainly focusing on Silver Surfer solo titles. However, if I do come across some issues that aren't part of a solo title but I do think are important to his character, I will definitely include. Today is certainly an example of that because we are diving into Silver Surfer's first appearance, which is in 1961's Fantastic Four, issues 48 through 50 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. These three issues are known as the Galactus trilogy because not only is it Silver Surfer's first appearance, but it is also Galactus's first appearance. Oh, something else that I wanted to mention is that yes, this Fantastic Four run is from 1961. However, these three issues were released in 1966. So the first appearance of Galactus and Silver Surfer were in 1966. I just wanted to mention that because sometimes it does get confusing, so just in case. Also, for the most part, I am going to focus on release date order when I'm choosing the comics that I'm going to read. However, I've already made an exception because the first video in this series that I did was Silver Surfer 1982, which is like 20 years after his first appearance. But just like I mentioned, I thought that was a great starting off point because it gives you the general idea of Silver Surfer for those of you who aren't familiar. Now, before I get into these three issues that we're going to discuss, I did want to talk a little bit about how Silver Surfer came to be. So Silver Surfer was actually an original creative creation by the King, Jack Kirby. Stanley actually discusses this in an interview and he says, so I had this character Galactus and Jack drew the story, but in the story, he drew a fellow on a flying surfboard, flying from planet to planet. And I said, who the hell is that? And he said, well, I figured anybody as big and as powerful as Galactus ought to have a herald who flies ahead of him to find planets for him. Then mentioned that he accepted the creative decision and actually really loved how heroic and dramatic and just noble Silver Surfer looked drawn. And from there, instead of making this character simply fly from planet to planet, Stan actually wanted to make him a philosophical observer of the world and essentially his philosophical mouthpiece, which as we read more comics, you're definitely going to see how that comes to play. Okay guys, but now let's actually get into it. I'm going to discuss all three issues individually. So starting off with Fantastic Four number 48, the official first appearance of Silver Surfer and Galactus. Out of the two, the first one that we see in the comic is Silver Surfer, and it's 7 pages in, and we just get this visually beautiful introduction by Kirby of this figure flying through space. Following panel gives us a close-up of this figure, and Stanley introduces him as the Silver Surfer, and he writes, on he soars, dodging meteors, skirting around asteroids, rocketing from planet to planet with entire galaxies as his ports of call, with the known universe itself as his highway. And this introduction is followed by a couple panels of scrolls observing the Silver Surfer in panic, and one of them says, with all our weapons and our armaments, why do we so fear the lone Silver Surfer? And the other scroll replies, it is not merely him. Have you not studied your cosmic history? Whenever he appears, it is certain that Galactus cannot be very far behind. So here we get the first mention of Galactus, and based off of that, we know that Galactus and Silver Surfer are feared throughout the cosmos. Also, why is that scroll an absolute king? Because he really said, have you not studied your history? Like, girl. Okay guys, but now jumping to the Fantastic Four on planet Earth. They're in the middle of trying to figure out what these mysterious illusions are in the atmosphere. Rightfully so, it's causing panic amongst civilians, and the first one that they see is of fire, and the next one that follows is of rocks. And what we learn is that it is the Watcher, yes, the Watcher, the one that shouldn't be interfering, is the one that is doing these projections so that they can hide planet Earth from Silver Surfer. As the Watcher explains, Silver Surfer is the scout of Galactus, his herald. And well, who is Galactus? Well, the Watcher explains that Galactus is a being that drains entire planets of their elements and then leaves them to dry, unable to support life. And there the Watcher justifies his reason for interfering, and he says, I could not stand by and see this happen to Earth. So the Watcher really does want to protect planet Earth against Silver Surfer because again, once Silver Surfer finds planet Earth, it's over. They're cooked, literally, which I will say was a nice thought, but he did a terrible job because Silver Surfer found planet Earth regardless. Like, he flew right through the rocks. And then it gets interesting because as soon as Silver Surfer enters planet Earth and he lands, like you can see in the panel the Fantastic Four running up to him, but he completely disregards them whatsoever, literally does not acknowledge them, and he just really seems like this emotionless figure. And without even hesitating, he immediately generates this light energy from his hand that is meant to signal Galactus. In that exact panel, you can see the Watcher saying like, oh no, like we failed, it's over, like we gotta start preparing for Galactus, like that is our priority right now. But Ben being Ben is obviously so pissed, and he's like, I got something to do right now, and he takes a swing at Silver Surfer, and Silver Surfer falls off the building, which we'll find out what happens with him in the next issue. And after that, in the last page, we witness Galactus arrive in his ship, and he says, "My journey is ended. This planet shall sustain me until it has been drained of all elemental life." Also, something that you will notice throughout these 3 issues is that Galactus's suit is changed, is altered every single issue. For example, here we see a version of Galactus that has red and green instead of the purple and blue that most of us know. Okay, now jumping into issue 49, the first thing that we see is the conversation between the Watcher and Galactus, and this conversation really helps us see the perspective of Galactus and see where he's coming from. For example, the Watcher pleads and tells Galactus that he must not destroy life on Earth because it contains intelligent life, and Galactus responds by saying that it is not his intention to hurt living beings, but he needs to eat, he needs nourishment, and that's the only way he can get it, which to a degree is understandable, right? Because he needs energy to sustain him, like that's just life, who can blame him? However, he does follow that by calling us petty creatures, so not a good look, bud, not a good look. And for those of you who don't know, Alicia Masters is blind, so when she hears him fall through the window and hears him moaning, she approaches him in a very gentle way, naturally filled with curiosity. And when Alicia hears Silver Surfer speak for the first time, she truly is amazed by the way that Silver Surfer carries himself and just is. She says, "I've never heard anyone speak so strangely, and yet there is a certain nobility in your voice." And Surfer is offended and responds in a really disrespectful way. He says, "Nobility? The word has no meaning to me. You do not see. Are all earthlings thus afflicted?" So you can clearly tell through his behavior that Silver Surfer has been accustomed to being this emotionless being, but Alicia is persistent, and then she proceeds by offering him the greatest hospitality and trying to serve him a meal. And then we get to see something that is cool and foreign to us, because everything that was on the table, Silver Surfer uses his powers to convert into pure energy, and he takes this moment to point out that the way that humans consume is very wasteful compared to the way that he consumes, which is very similar to the way that Galactus consumes. I really like this moment because it shows us the difference between us as human beings and him as a cosmic being. Like, it shows 2 completely different worlds, and how that difference and lack of understanding of human beings also contributes to the reason why he is the way he is. And then Silver Surfer reveals to Alicia the plan of Galactus to consume planet Earth, and Alicia pleads. She says, "Every being, every bird, every beast that lives here belongs here. Like, this is our world. You cannot let this happen." And there's a moment when Silver Surfer raises his arm as if to silence Alicia, but there's a pause, and you can see it all hit him. You can see that Alicia has unlocked something in him, emotion, awakened his humanity, and you can see it all through the beautiful art of Jack Kirby. But there is a moment of discouragement because Silver Surfer says to Alicia, "Please don't build up my hopes. Like, I have to be what I was meant to be, and that is to serve Galactus." But our girl Alicia Masters does not give up, because she goes to the window and points at the world around her, and she says, "These people are entitled to life. These people are entitled to happiness." And you see a moment of struggle within Silver Surfer as he says, "I defy Galactus? It is unthinkable." And Alicia says, "Then you could stand by and watch a whole world be destroyed." And that is when it really hits Silver Surfer. That is when it clicks. And he says, "Perhaps, human, you are not totally wrong." And then you get this moment when you can see him fly into the air, ready to defy Galactus, and that leads us to our next issue. So in Fantastic Four number 50, essentially what we get is this epic confrontation between Galactus and Silver Surfer. And Silver Surfer does try to come to an understanding with Galactus by explaining humanity. However, Galactus is like, "Are you really going to try to protect these creatures?" And something that Silver Surfer brings up in this issue is that Galactus has never truly seen the extent of his power. Although obviously Galactus is a lot more powerful, however, there is a moment in the comic where Galactus says like, "Oh my gosh, you are a lot more powerful than I thought." And mid-battle, Silver Surfer says something that really tells you the type of individual that he's become. He says, "No matter what my fate, I face it without qualm, for I have learned from the humans how glorious it can be to have a cause worth dying for." It's just so beautiful to see how much growth the character of Silver Surfer has had throughout these issues. And what's so funny is that it gets to a point where Galactus is like, "Actually, like, all of this disagreement, all of this fighting, like, it's actually not worth it. Like, you know what, you can keep your planet Earth. I don't even care at this point." But of course, he does have to punish Silver Surfer because his herald is leaving him, right? So what he does is punish Silver Surfer by trapping him on planet Earth, preventing him from going into space, which, if you think about it, is actually quite harsh because, herald or not, Silver Surfer is meant to roam the galaxies one way or another. However, at the end of the comic, it does tell us what Silver Surfer plans to do now that he's trapped on Earth. He's going to spend his time flying around Earth, trying to learn as much as he can about human life and the planet. He says, "There's a planet to explore, new wonders to discover, but someday when I have traversed all of Earth, when the wanderlust is stilled within me, the Silver Surfer shall return." So it's super cool that he's taking his time to try to learn as much as he can about this new world that he has discovered, which is spot on for his character because, just as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the philosophical observer part of him that Stanley mentioned is really going to come and play in the following stories that we read. But yeah, guys, that is it for Silver Surfer and Galactus's first appearance. Also, I just remembered right now that I forgot to update you guys on the designs of Galactus's outfit. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. In issue 49, Galactus again had the red and green suit, with pants. That's important, with pants. In issue 49, now he has the purple and burgundy colors. However, now he doesn't have pants. He has a skirt or shorts. You look in issue 50, he's still rocking the purple and burgundy. However, his pants are back on. So cool to think about how he came out different in each issue for one reason or the other. And I think the final design that we got in issue 50 was perfect. It might not be the iconic blue that we know, but it's very close. I tried to Google to find out why it changed each issue, but I didn't find anything. So I think it was just the creatives testing things out and see what stuck. Okay guys, well now that is officially it for Fantastic Four number 48 through 50. Keep in mind that if you do read the issue, the Fantastic Four are a lot more involved. However, for my coverage, I mainly just focused on the Silver Surfer parts because that's what we were focusing on. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I really loved going back and rereading these 3 issues. It had been such a long time since I first read them. So it was nice getting a refresher, and the next comics that we're going to read are going to be part of Silver Surfer's first solo run by Stan Lee, so I'm really excited to get into those. As the recording of this video, I haven't seen the Fantastic Four trailer. However, it is set to release tomorrow morning, so by the time I post this, I probably have already seen the Fantastic Four trailer, and that is absolutely insane to me. Oh my gosh, are you okay, Lindsay? Let's do it before and after. This is me before the Fantastic Four trailer.
This is me after, life was changed.
Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, do all of the above. And if you want to watch more videos of this series, make sure to stay tuned because they're definitely coming. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!